This is a long one. My father left my mother when I was 11 months old, my brother, 2, and sister, 5. He left with his mistress, mother's best friend, to another country. My mother left, when I was 2, and hired my aunt, father's sister, to take care of us long term. She moved into our house. The thing is, this lady will just take the money my mother send and use it for her and her boyfriends. She will leave the house for weeks or months at a time, leaving us to fend for ourselves. My grandmother, father's mom, lived a few minutes away, so we will go eat there once a day, and that would be our only meal for that day. Since my grandmother owned a large farm, she will have a lot of fruit, so my sister will go there and steal some for us to eat the rest of the day. We lived like that until I turned 6. I went to my grandmother's house and asked her to teach me how to cook. She did. My brother opened some land behind our house and we planted some food to grow, like potatoes, beans and corn. We survived like that until I was 12 years old. My mother finally saved enough money to bring us to live with her, so we moved to another country with mother. My father came to meet his son and daughter, older sister, went to my brother, introduced me to him. His only words were, "I wish you were never born," so needless to say, I don't have a relationship with him. In 2013, my grandmother passed away. We never saw her since we left on her will. She left the big farm to me, with some other land she purchased after we left. In total is like 200 acres. The only condition is, that I have to take care of my sister and brothers. I have another half-brother from my father. The thing is, she only put sister, not sisters. I have a half-sister from my father. Half-siblings have different mothers. Now my father ex-mistress, show up at my house demanding I sell the farm and give her daughter her share. I said no. She called father and now he demands that I take care of his daughter financially and to let him meet his granddaughter, my daughter. I told him to go to hell. Now my aunt has been telling that I'm selfish, that her mother wanted me to take care of my sister, and I'm not honoring her last wish. But if my grandmother really wanted me to give her something, she would have put it on writing. She included my half-brother but not her, and I don't want to sell. 1. It was my grandparents. 2. My cousins are using it to survive just like my family. My uncle, father's brother, left them too and they need it. Backstory: 2 years ago I, 46 female, lost my husband in an accident and I was heartbroken. We had 3 children and I thought we were very happy until his mistress showed up at my door demanding money to support the child my husband fathered. I didn't believe her, but she was able to prove it with screenshots, messages, etc. The image that I had of my husband was forever tainted and he left me with the mess. Because of bitterness about the betrayal and how offended I was by the mistress's lack of remorse and entitlement, I told she wasn't getting a dime and that she shouldn't have slept with a married man. She kept mistreating me, and when it wasn't going to work she went to my husband's family to put pressure on me to give her what she wanted. She even tried to involve my children, leveraging her silence for money. I knew that once I gave her money she would come back, so I told them myself. My husband and I had high-paying jobs, lucrative investments, savings, and I got a sizable amount from the life insurance policy. I consulted a lawyer, and while she could prove the affair, it didn't prove paternity, and since my husband wasn't on the birth certificate nor could she produce that my husband acknowledged the child, she had no case. After my lawyers sent her a strongly worded letter, I didn't hear from her for a while and thought it was over until my oldest, Alex, 19 female, came to me and said that she did a DNA test with the mistress behind my back. She said that did it because she wanted to get this resolved. The child deserved to know who their father was, and get the financial support that they were owed. My husband had a will that stated each of his children were to split an inheritance that they would only access to when they went to college, and couldn't get full control until the age of 25. When the results came back proving that my husband was indeed the father, the mistress took me to court. It was a long legal battle, but eventually a settlement was made. I sat Alex down and explained to her that her inheritance would be split 50-50 between them and her half-sibling as part of the settlement agreement. When she asked if my other children had to split theirs, I told Alex no. My husband's will stated that it had to be split, but it didn't say it had to be equally, and until each of the children turned 25, I had full control. Alex was upset, saying that it wasn't fair. I countered saying that it wasn't fair that my other 2 children had to get a lesser share because of my oldest choices, and if they wanted their full share they shouldn't have done the DNA test. There's still plenty of money for Alex to finish college, she just won't have much after that, and I do plan on dividing my own estate equally in my own will. All of this Alex knows, but they are still giving me the cold shoulder. My own siblings think that it wasn't fair and I'm punishing Alex for doing right by her half-sibling, but I don't see that way. Ida, update, thank you to everyone's responses. Even the ones calling my YTA, but based on a few frequent questions, comments and/or themes, I feel like I need to clarify some things. 1. Alex is my daughter, not my son. When I first started writing this, I wanted to leave gender out of it in case it influenced people's judgment, but then I remembered that Reddit tends to prefer that age and gender get mentioned, so I added 19 female at the last minute. Hope that clears it up a little. 2. My other 2 children are Junior, 17 male, and Sam, 14 female. The half-sibling is now 5. 3. When my husband drafted the will, 10 years ago, he initially named just our children, but a friend of ours had an oops baby, so he changed it to be just his children in case we had another one. At least that's what he told me. 4. After the mistress threatened to tell my children and I decided to tell them. I sat them all down and explained the situation. They were understandably devastated and asked if they really had another sibling. I told them that I didn't know and that if the mistress could prove it, she might get some money. I told them that if they wanted to know if they had a sibling or not, we could find out, but I made sure that they understood that their inheritance could be affected, and other people might come out claiming the same thing and get more money. Initially, all of my children said that they didn't want to have to deal with that, and so I did everything that I could to protect them, but I guess Alex had a change of heart. 5. Until the DNA test, I had no reason to believe that my husband's mistress was telling the truth and acted accordingly. I kept following my lawyer's advice, and if she wanted the money, the burden of proof was on her. 6. While some of you might think ITA, please understand that my decision wasn't spiteful. If I really wanted to punish Alex, I would just tell them they weren't getting any more money since they already used some of it for their first year of college, so the guidelines of the will were technically already met. I still plan on leaving them an equal share of inheritance from my estate too. I'm a 20-year-old male in the UK. My mother passed away of cancer in November last year. My father stayed alone in our old house for around 8 months, and has found a woman he really likes. She is lovely, welcoming, a kind person. Our house was mortgaged, but was paid off when my mother's inheritance was delivered. I legally own half the house, with the other half belonging to my father. If the house is sold, I get half the money. However, my father wants to move closer to his new partner, and his new partner is raising concerns that he should be legally responsible for the entirety of the funds. I have £15,300 in an ISA that only I can access, but I will graduate university with £40,000 debt. I wish I had the funds to pay that off immediately, but I don't know what to do. My worry is that if my half is taken, then the legal claim I have to a house bought with the money is diluted from half the house to at least a quarter between my father, his partner, her daughters and myself. My father's will currently features a cover letter adding that his sons from his first marriage are not to receive any funds or property. I was the only child of his second marriage, and we haven't seen his first 2 children for 15 years after they were confronted by my father for consuming meds. They were paid child support by my dad until they both turned 18, but we never saw them after he got mad at them about the meds. My father provided for them and saw them 3 days a week minimum up until they stopped showing up. What can I draw up or produce that legally protects me, and guarantees I will have a house to my name and my name alone when my father passed away? I'm being told I'm too young to be responsible for the kind of money selling a £385,000 house would bring, but I also know when I'm being ignored. Any advice you guys can contribute is great, thanks in advance. Sorry for poor formatting, on mobile, edit, clarification regarding will. Edit 2, thank you for the help everyone. I appreciate the comments ranging from "you're an idiot for even asking," "it's common sense," to intricate plans on lawyering up and planning where to invest and safeguard money. Everything helps build up confidence. All I can say is that I will contact a lawyer and sit down with all the paperwork I can get my hands on and discuss plans. My husband left me 2 years ago for a woman he had been seeing while we were married. They have a small child together and we have a child together. We had always meant to get a divorce, but things happened and we never ended up actually filing for one. I had made an appointment to jumpstart the process with an attorney about a month before my husband passed away. After speaking with his attorney and looking over some information, I learned he had never changed the name on his estate. Although, my attorney did say that because we were still legally married, I am the executor regardless. He left a pretty decent amount behind. It bothers me, for some reason, That he thought enough of his girlfriend/fiancée to leave her for me but never bothered to change his will to make sure she and his son would be taken care of. I know how it feels to suddenly feel like you are left alone to fend for yourself. He did that me in a way. I have long forgiven his trespasses and never really blamed her, for some reason. I have no ill will towards her and I understand that her young son must be going through a lot at the moment. I don't know what he would want me to do, but what I am wondering is should I listen to my inner voice and give them a portion of the estate to help ease their transition. I know that no amount of money can comfort the sheer grief of the passing of a loved one, but things might be easier if she knew that her son would have a chance at a future. My understanding is that she doesn't have a lot of money on her own. I was also thinking of starting a trust in the son's name so that he could one day attend a wonderful university or get training for a future job or something like that. My deceased husband had 2 houses that he owned and I now own the one they live in. I have no need for that house and wouldn't mind if they continue resided there. My family says that I am crazy for even considering giving her anything considering the circumstances. In my mind, it happened and I am sad that my marriage fell apart, but I don't think it was all her fault. I feel like maybe I wasn't a good enough wife and my husband should have just divorced me when he first had the mind to cheat. I am still have some anger over the situation though and think she shouldn't have gotten involved with a married man. I worry so much about her son, who like mine, is now without a father. I know it isn't really my place. What does Reddit think? Should I allocate a partial amount of the estate to her and her son? Or should I just leave it as it is and consider it a complete payment for all the horribleness hubby put me through? I am kind of at an impasse here. I don't want to be a horrible person, but I don't want her to think that her getting involved with a married man can ever be a payoff. I am very conflicted. TLDR, husband passed away before either of us filed for divorce after he left me to be with his other family. His estate went to me. Should I give his other family a portion of the money? Anyway, help would be appreciated. Thanks. Edit, I edited it to clarify that my husband passed away, not my attorney. Edit/update, wow. I am blown away by all the wonderful responses. Thank you so much for the advice and for reading. As some brought up, there are probably some legal implications that I need to consider. I actually have a lawyer to handle this but wanted to have an idea of what I wanted to do before I meet with him next week. My understanding is that she doesn't have any representation, but I would be more than willing to work with her lawyer if she obtained one in the future. I want to be fair most of all. I am sorry for the delay in response. I took my son out on an early dinner date. We have a standing date every Wednesday and we never miss it. I made it a point to ask him what he thought because he and I made a pact long ago that we would make decisions as a family whenever we could. He thought it was a good idea to help his brother because he didn't want Liam to suffer, and I want to be a good big brother even though I don't get to see him a lot. I plan to address any legal issues with my attorney at our next meeting and discuss the idea of a trust and whether the son has legal claim to the money. Thank you so much for your help.